Today, I'm talking to Megan Stahl, the co-founder and head of marketing for Treefort Music Fest. Hope you enjoy. Megan, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Brent?
I am good. I'm good. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and talk to us. I am super intrigued about Treefort Music Fest. I'm all things Boise. I love the community, and I really want to know kind of how Treefort Music Fest was born. First of all, though, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the crowd? Tell them who you are.
Yeah. My name is Megan, and I am actually from North Carolina, but I moved to Boise in about 2009. And I love it here. This has become my home. My whole family's still back east, but Boise's really, I've put roots down here. And so and I've been in the marketing world since like through college and after college. And I ended up meeting Eric Gilbert, who is our festival director, and through mutual friends and through going to shows in Boise in about 2011. And we started talking. I had just gotten laid off from a corporate job, and we started talking, and he was just beginning the buds of a music festival in downtown Boise. And I was like, well, I want to be involved. And so a small group of us all started gathering, and then we had our first fest in 2012.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we're coming up on our 13th year this year. I mean, I guess it's more of like our 13th edition because of 2020. We kind of had a lot of shifting things around, but yeah, so we've got our 13th festival, Treefort Music Fest, happening in downtown Boise, March 26th through the 30th.
Okay, so it started pretty grassroots. Just real quick, because I want to talk about the vision of Treefort, but before we do, like, kind of walk me through the grassroots part. Like, was there just one little stage and 20 people that showed up, or what did it look like initially?
Well, initially it was just supposed to be a 3-day fest. Eric Gilbert, who's my business partner and, like I said, festival director, he had been in a touring band for years. He had also done his own promotions, had his own promotion company that was just mostly just like helping friends get shows in Boise who are traveling from Portland or wherever. The vision was to create the vision was to start a venue. And the very beginning of it with Lori Chandro and our other business partner, Drew Larona. And that was to create a music venue. But the problem was we're just coming out of the recession here. You know, this is 2012 and 2011. We're talking about this. And, you know, people are just starting to spend more money in our downtowns and in our communities. And what that kind of led to was that, like, we still needed a scene here. You know, and Boise had a really small music scene. It just wasn't as robust. Boise being the most isolated city in the lower 48 made it pretty difficult to kind of have that, right? And so if we make Boise a viable stop on a band's tour, then likely a scene will grow from that. And that's what we did.
Wow. That's incredible. So, yeah, I mean, you actually talked a little bit about the vision. Like, how has the vision evolved? Because it is definitely not just a venue anymore.
No, yeah, it's definitely not a venue or just even a festival anymore. It's an entire brand. You know, we have our whole, we do promotions through Duck Club Presents. We have the festival, like our flagship festival, which is Treefort Music Fest. We've now opened up Treefort Music Hall, which is a 1,000-cap space downtown Boise. And then we've taken over Shrine Social Club, which is also a double-decker venue, also in downtown. And from that, we've, you know, the scene has grown, and we want to keep people here. We love Boise, and we also want to allow a place for artists to thrive. And I think the growth of the festival has been very organic, you know, and the growth of our brands as well. All of this is all very organic. It came from within our community, which is so awesome. And that's kind of, you know, very grassroots, very independent, and we are still very much that. We're a pretty scrappy bunch.
Yeah. So when you mention, you know, it being organic, it coming from the community, like, what do you think the impact this thing has grown into? Because it is an amazing scene that you guys have developed. what's the impact it's had on the Boise music scene in general? Like, has it just enhanced the music scene all around? And then also, like, how has it helped the local economy?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it has been, we're keeping artists here. Artists want to stay here. They have more places to play, a bigger audience to come to the shows. And that is not just from us. It is from the whole ecosystem that we have here. And that includes other promoters and venues and such. So
let me ask one question. Like, the impact it's had on the scene, do you think having Treefort here kind of fosters a more robust local kind of place to incubate artists? Like, are more bands and artists from Boise like growing?
Yeah, absolutely. We're putting local artists on stages with nationally known international artists even, and it's creating a place. I always say that Treefort is kind of like the camp for like summer camp for bands, because a lot of bands come and hang out.
Yeah.
They stay here for multiple days, even if they're only playing 1 or 2 shows, and they kind of, create that community that we believe in, which is about like collaboration and creativity, and working together and meeting one another, and beautiful things can come of that, and I think that's how Treefort has grown from the local scene. And also I think that's how all the forts have also grown, is from people passionate about a specific industry within our community. So yoga fort, it's not like we set out from the very beginning to be like, oh, we'll call it Treefort and we'll have all these different forts with different like programming tracks. That was not the case at all. Treefort, was the brand name, was just playful. It's fun. We're in the city of trees. It all reminds us of a time like in our backyard as kids, and making it for everybody, And so that's what we kind of base on that. And then from that is where all these other forts have come in.
Okay, you keep saying forts, but so for people like listening to this, like, what do you mean by forts? Like what is a fort in the Treefort world?
Well, a fort is just kind of like a programming track. So we've got 13 official forts, ale fort for beer. We have comedy fort for comedy, obviously. We have story fort for literary arts, and yoga fort. We've got kid fort for kids, and pod fort for podcasts, just like this.
Wow.
And anyway, so there's so many different facets of our community that we want to highlight, and this was a really great way of doing it, as well as providing a space for it. I don't know if
the goal of the forts is to provide a space. Is that the ultimate goal of like helping people who don't really have a channel or a path to have a space to have that? Is that the goal?
And also just community? To mostly community, what's so cool is like we're bringing in these, large name comedians like Rory Scovel, who was just on like the Will Ferrell film with Reese Witherspoon that came out like last month, and he's coming to do comedy at the Egyptian Theater, and it's like, I think it's just a cool opportunity for him to be among other artists here. And like, I don't know if that would happen if it was separate from the festival. One, mostly because there's so many costs involved, it provides more of a ground for artists to showcase their art, essentially. Yeah.
So it gives them a place to plug in.
Mm-hmm.
It gives them a place to probably meet like-minded people, and then it also gives them a place to showcase what they do.
What they do. Yeah.
So it's kind of a three-pronged approach.
Right. And I mean, the local economy part of it is that Treefort has a giant impact. One, we're a multiple day festival. We are not and it happens throughout the whole city. It's not like you are trapped inside of a park and that's all you have, and you're there from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. We have Julia Davis Park is where our main stage is, where there's 3 different stages. Half of it is entirely free to open to the public, and the other half is ticketed for wristband holders. And that was why our biggest challenge of the last 13 festivals, or last 12 coming up on our 13th, is the big move from downtown in a parking lot to Julia Davis Park. And so we had, anyway, so there's multiple days, right, that's happening. We utilize multiple venues in downtown. It's incredible to see how many official, unofficial, just people excited about Treefort. You know, I think we're coming out of the depths of winter here in Boise, Idaho, and kind of finding this like shining light in the future here that is giving us some hope as we get out of the freezing cold, dark days.
You said something that like caught my attention, and I'm super curious because I think it's a phenomenal strategy. And I don't know if you guys are doing it on purpose, but you said you have half the park and it's free and the other half is ticketed. So is there a strategy behind that? Is there like an economic reason why you would do that? Or is it just to introduce people to it, give them an affordable way to experience it? And then if they want to experience the whole thing, they buy tickets?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a lot of it is where people, you know, it's such an incredible experience. And I think giving an opportunity for everybody to experience even a portion of it and just kind of get that energy. It's that like je ne sais quoi, like in the air. You really can't.
You have to be there.
You have to be there to feel it, you know? And there's something really special about Treefort.
I had no idea that there was a free version for people. So anybody listening to this is like, if you want an affordable way to experience Treefort,
or even just like come down to like get a taste of it, like dip your toe in. You don't have to commit financially, you know. It's just like come downtown. It is vibrant. It is so fun. It is it's just like I said, that I don't know, you can't like put your finger on exactly what it is. There's just some like an extra energy in the air that makes it really special.
In your 13th session or season or whatever you want to call it, and it's just growing. It's the buzz around Treefort. Like I know people who start counting down the days with Treefort because you guys are counting it down too. So I mean, I know people that get very excited for it, mainly because of all the bands you're bringing in. So a question around the bands, two questions. What type of music would people expect to hear if they go to Treefort? And then because there's so many bands, like how do you guys curate the lineup? Like what does that process look like?
Okay, so first of all, you can literally find anything you're looking for. And
so if you love music, there's all
kinds.
Variations of music.
I mean, there's like a bluegrass, folk, acoustic band, or there are acoustic artists. There's also going to be like heavy metal, or hip hop, or ska, even there's an indie pop, indie rock, all of the indies,
and everything in between.
Yeah,
love that.
And everything on the outside.
So how do you curate that? Because do you have different stages for different types of music?
Yeah, so we have like I said, we have 3 stages at main stage at Julia Davis Park, and that's the band shell, the hideout, and our main stage. But we also utilize multiple venues throughout downtown, and everything from like Treefort Music Hall, which is like just over 1,000 capacity, to Neurolux, which has like 300, maybe 250 capacity, and even like coffee shops, and we're doing things over Boise State this year because it's not during spring break, which is really nice. So we're giving an opportunity for kids to come. Even college kids have like a discount this year, which is really exciting, because it's not during spring break, which is nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think there's so many different bands, and like, you know, kind of like at main stage, we have 4 days of main stage, Thursday through Sunday, and every day kind of has like its vibe. You know, there's like Thursday night was Shaky Graves, Josh Ritter, Reckless Kelly. So it's more of like that country, bluegrass, Americana.
Yep.
We have Friday, which is like Remy Wolf and Built to Spill and Melinda Linda. So you've got some of that rock and like, you know, pop, I guess. And then we also have Saturday is Sophie Tucker with Amyl and the Sniffers and a bunch more. So then you've got more like dance, indie pop. And then Sunday we have Bright Eyes and Hot Mulligan, among many others. And that's all kind of like the emo side of things. So there's like, and that's kind of how each venue is per day. And it just kind of, so the curation of it is, I mean, we also have a lot of locals, which is awesome. So the way kind of our booking works, we have an artist committee. And so we field, incoming submissions. And then we also have a talent buyer who was like fielding outgoing.
Got it.
Requests.
So have the local or unheard of artists, have those submissions increased over the years?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Thousands.
Okay.
And
wow.
Actually, our talent buyer, Eric Gilbert, who's also our festival director, listens to all of them.
Wow. Okay, cool. Well, he's really got to love music.
Yeah.
So because of the growth over the last over a decade now, what challenges have you guys run into with the growth?
I mean, I think their biggest challenge was the move from a small parking lot to a giant large park.
Okay.
And we're still figuring it out, you know? I mean,
a lot of logistics.
And we just kind of did like a copy paste from the parking lot to the park. And we're figuring out, this is our third year there, that we're figuring that that's not necessarily working as well as we wanted it to. Okay. So one, the cost is a lot more, and we just need more infrastructure. We've got 3 stages there now, and Ailfort and Kidfort, and there's just so much more space and just security measures, like everything. I mean, even fencing that we needed. So it's just grown.
Is there any participation from the local municipalities, like with helpings? Well, like, do they help support the event? Do they provide security? Do they provide logistics? Do they do anything to support?
We work with the city really closely.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a safety team that works with the city really closely and make sure that we're hitting all of our marks, that we need to put on a safe and fun event for the city.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what would you say? So we talked about your biggest challenge. What's your favorite Treefort moment?
Oh my gosh.
Like, you have to pick one.
Yeah. Okay. If I had to pick one, might be Lizzo in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Was it just the energy? Was it the vibe? Was it the amount of people? What made it amazing?
It was, again, we were in the parking lot. It's a smaller stage there. And this is 2017. Lizzo was just on the edge, like right before she blew up.
Okay.
And she was touring with her like all female crew. Like her costumes were like handmade, it was just, it was a really special moment. I think in time that is, I feel like, so rare and so cool. I mean, she took a photo with all of us women that were part of the crew.
Yeah.
And like backstage with her crew. And so I was just like, this will never happen again, because then, cut 2 months later, she's on the cover of People magazine, and she's, attending the VMAs and the Met Gala.
Yeah.
So
that's a moment you just want to bottle up, because it's a once in a lifetime experience.
Absolutely. And I kind of feel like that's, and I have many other stories like that from Treefort, where we really are a festival of discovery, and you'll see artists as they are growing to be these larger ones, and like you get to see them in a more intimate setting versus like a giant football field type experience.
Yeah. So I'm really curious your take on this, because you're the head of marketing. Why should people attend Treefort?
I mean, why not?
Okay. All right.
I mean, we have so many different options to get people through the door, whether it's through some free programming that we offer our community, or it's through volunteering at the festival. You can get a discount, like a severely discounted price ticket. And yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know. Do you not like fun?
Okay. All right. So the tagline is, if you like fun.
Yeah, that's our new word.
And if you don't like fun, don't come.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I just think it's a beautiful celebration of our community. We get to showcase and show off why we love living here so much. I mean, it is a little bit of a utopia here in Boise.
Yeah.
And I think it's, I love showing off Boise.
Yeah.
And I think it's an incredible way of doing it. So there's something that comes alive during Treefort that really makes it special.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So we're going to sign off with this question. The podcast is called I Heart City of Trees. And I'm really curious, what has been the positive feedback you've gotten from artists that have visited the City of Trees?
I mean, first of all, they love Boise, right? And I think it's really rare right now to have a festival that is of our size and that the whole city participates in, whether you are like a participating venue or just, running a taco shop or something. The kindness that people give artists here is they just remember it, and like I said, it's like summer camp for them because it's because of Boise though. Like this Treefort couldn't just, pick up and go to another city and it worked the same. It's not the brand.
It's very culture driven.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is artists come here and they experience the Treefort culture, which in essence is the Boise culture.
Yeah. And I think it's like none other. And I mean, to be honest, we really are one of the last few multi-venue festivals in the world.
Wow. That's incredible. And it's growing.
It's growing. Yeah. And it's growing at a rate that we've wanted it to grow. Yeah. We've never really, like the way it started to where it is now is definitely a giant growth, but it's also been 13 years, and it's been a nice steady growth. We have a really small team. So putting this on is quite the biggest feat of our entire year.
Yeah,
so
it's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears.
Very much.
And I'm sure a labor of love. I'm sure everybody on the team absolutely loves their job. I would.
Yeah.
So if you're hiring, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So, awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Megan. This was amazing. It gave me a lot more insight into Treefort. And if you're listening to this, what are the dates of Treefort this year?
March 26th to the 30th. And you can look up everything at treefortmusicfest.com, and that includes our lineup. We have our full schedule out. I highly recommend downloading the app, which is free in the App Store. And it is so great. You can filter by venue. You can start building your schedule. You can share it with your friends. We'll have some curated schedules that are about to come out, I think, next week. And those are really nice if you kind of don't really know where to start, because it can be overwhelming with so many events happening. It will kind of give you, like, if depending on like your genre, or even if it's like we do one that's like family for it, so things for your family to go to. I also have one that you like parent for it, because my parents come every year, which is really fun.
Cool. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.